Hi, my name is Joshua Green. You're watching A Pre-World History, and today we're going to talk about the industrialization of Japan. The industrialization of Japan started with this U.S. dude named Matthew Perry. Not that Matthew Perry. And now to stand with the thought bubble. Perry and his army came to Edo, modern-day Tokyo, putting the Japanese at gunpoint and forced them into a trade partnership. By doing this, they took control of the trade with Japan. America! 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 Due to the Tokugawa shogunate having no choice but to take up this offer, the emperor became resentful of them and stripped them of their power, causing imperialism to arise. He also declared no power to the Tokugawa shogunate or the samurai class. This major social shift caused internal wars to erupt. In order to subdue this friction, the Meiji period started in Japan. During this time, many reforms began in order to westernize Japan. Emperor Mudashito fashioned a new social order, military, taxism, and government. Of the foreign powers, the internal weakness ravaged Japan. The economic decline was derived from the agricultural crop failure and harsh taxation early on. When the foreign powers arrived, Japan was in a state of turmoil. Social weakness of the people included peasant immigration due to the poor economy. Even the samurai and the daimyo fell into debt. This caused peasant rebellions. Reforms in the 1840s were attempted by Mizuno Tanakuni. He canceled samurai and daimyo debts, abolished merchant guilds, and wanted peasants to return to cultivation. These early reforms were unsuccessful, but in the late 19th century, an emperor called Mudashito arose to completely revolutionize Japan as we know it. Emperor Mutsuhito brought reforms to end the fighting of Bakufu. He wanted to heavily devote themselves to trade with the U.S. and European powers by sending students abroad to study the U.S. and Europeans so they could use their skills and tactics. A new government was formed, including daimyo, imperial princes, court nobles, and samurai. The daimyo gave lands to throne in return for nobility. New colony-like divisions were created with governors that overthrew the power of the daimyo. As well, the government got rid of the samurai class in order to limit the monopoly on military power. Where they used to dominate military affairs, they were forced to take up government positions by receiving bonds that soon became useless. Emperor Mutsuhito included tax reforms to his movement. Taxes paid in grain were replaced by taxes paid in money. He also taxed land in the maximum amount that cultivators produced, not the actual. Economic reforms included connecting themselves on a national level by the telegraph, railroad, and steamship lines. There were no barriers of commerce due to the guilds. They had improved education that allowed rapid industrialization and economic growth, and major enterprise power fell in the hands of a small group of people known as the Sabastio. The height of their industrial power was due to their acceptance and conversion to European patterns of living. They even switched to a constitutional government. Economic development of the Meiji period came at the cost of the peasants. In order to produce industrial equipment, poorly paid workers had to work hard to export textile productions. Because of this, there are a lot of peasant revolts aimed at the money loaders and the government officials.
Am I done?
Yeah.
Ooh, Mr. Green, Mr. Green.
Yes, me from the past.
Did the Japanese make ramen in their factories?
No, ramen was not invented until 1958. We've been talking about the Japanese people for way too long. I think I'm starting to hear some weird music in my head. Let's hear a story from a different perspective. What do those American people even have to do with this? This is a much better angle to accentuate my hairdo today.
Looking sexy.
The Portuguese had controlled trade by monopolizing American silver and crop production and bringing it to Asia. Their power declined as the Americans began industrializing and forming revolutions to split themselves from the rule of the colonists. Also, labor wasn't heavily sought after once the factory system emerged, so the colonists lost their power. The industrial power of the Americans were able to use trade associations with Great Britain and successful capitalist enterprises to control Asian and Pacific trade. So now the Americans had power and were mass-producing products. They needed a market to sell their goods in countries that were weak enough to control. And what do you know? Japan was a weak state without any trade partners of industrial powers, just waiting to be controlled. Hence, my man Matthew Perry, who came and held a gun right up to the Japanese people. Working together, the U.S. and Western Europe were able to make Japan in their industrialized image. Even though there was some dissatisfaction with the Meiji reform, they built Japan up to be an industrial power during this time. Eventually, when they became a powerful enough industrial society, they didn't like the humiliating treaties of the U.S. and European powers that controlled them. Japan became industrialized in one generation and ended the unequal treaties in 1899. They were able to defeat China in 1895 and Russia in 1904. Their industrialization included the addition of railroads and steamships. Time for open letter. Whoa. Dear Japanese fans, why are you so hard to open? In Japan, fans had many different uses. In the battlefield, they were signals to tell people to get over here. There are also metal variations of the fan, which are used as a weapon. This is used when swords were not allowed. The metal fans were also used to help for swimming. But this fan can just give people paper cuts. Best wishes, John Green.